Quilting is a sewing technique that goes back hundreds of years. In the 12th century, it was used in conjunction with armor to protect crusaders. Today, quilting occupies a more decorative role and has a devoted following of women and men. Mike Ellingson shares his love of quilting, and his students demonstrate the social and aesthetic benefits of the craft.
I love quilting. I'm Mike Ellingson. I'm a retired music educator who lives in Blue Earth, Minnesota with my wife, Sue. I'm an avid quilter in retirement and also an active church and community musician. In the United States, quilting started right away. People always imagined that quilting was colonial folks using the scraps of fabric left over, and actually it was done by the wealthy women who had time to do this. The big re-interest in quilting was back in the bicentennial in 1976, 40 years ago, where suddenly people started to look at old arts and crafts that were original to colonial United States, and suddenly quilting was of interest again. The big invention that caused things to take off, however, was about 1979. The Olfa company invented something called a rotary cutter. Think of a pizza cutter that could cut through fabric. Hand quilting was really the only respected way to quilt for years and years. And then about in the 1980s, machine quilting started to be introduced. And at first it was, like all new technology, very crude and really paled against the beautiful hand quilting that people had become used to. Bit by bit though, machine quilters, long arm quilters, would become more artistic, try to copy some of the beautiful hand quilting of former days. And in the 1980s, the first quilt in the American Quilt Society's competition to win Best of Show was a machine quilted quilt. And you would have thought the world was going to end by all the gasps when that happened. Quilting isn't just utilitarian. You know, we come from steady stock here in Minnesota, so we think everything must be useful. And that's a good thing for it to be useful, but it also needs to be beautiful. I think it's a great hobby for anyone to have. A wall hanging is a wonderful introductory project because it's a smaller size. You're not trying to complete a queen-sized quilt before you finish the project. Also, a lot of artists have gotten involved, so there are three-dimensional sculptures, boxes and such that are quilted. I'm lucky enough to, once I've got my daily chores done, to be able to go in the room where I quilt and just enjoy my time there.